probably lead
Totally.
into the next question that we have here now.
Yeah. So many building products are currently disposed of in a landfill. However, we know there are opportunities for circularity. Are there any specific products that our audience should learn more about in terms of the ability to go circular?
Yeah, I guess the first thing I'd say about this is if you have a question about a material, and I say this in any um, aspect of sustainability, the needle gets moved by people asking questions, right? By customers coming to us and asking us questions. So I would say in general, even if you think there isn't a path toward circularity for a particular material, call the manufacturer and ask the question. Because I can tell you, as someone who's been working on sustainability for a long time at this point, it helps when the customer asks the question, right? So I'd say that about any building products because, in particular, things like siding, vinyl siding can be recycled and put right back into vinyl siding. Right? There's a process that the material, and you save about 70% of the embodied carbon that's associated with that raw material by using recycled PVC, for instance. Right? Roofing shingles, another great example. Roofing shingles that can be taken off a roof. There are existing pathways in a lot of places, very regional, but they can go back into hot mix asphalt, right? Gypsum has a pretty robust market. If you go to a construction and demolition waste company that handles specifically those materials, generally the waste that they're getting from demolition projects is either going to the agricultural industry or it's going to the concrete industry, right? But we can also grind gypsum up and put it back into our process, right? Um, so again, with most materials, there's a path toward being put into some circular system or some system that maintains that value. What I think we really are focused on within the circular economy solutions business is making sure that we get them back into our materials. So if it might not seem obvious, it might be a call to the manufacturer to ask. Up to about a quarter of uh, materials that end up in landfills is construction and demolition waste. So, that's a huge responsibility that I see that we have, but it's also a huge opportunity for us to figure out something around these materials. So ask the question.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I mean, obviously, I have a house, and I know that. Luckily, I do have CertainTeed siding on my house. I will say that, and
Thank you. Yeah.
we've had the house now for over 25 years, 27 years, I think. And there may be a time. Actually, we did have a situation where a storm came through, a bunch of hail damaged the siding on the one side of the home and had to be replaced. And we were able to try to coordinate with our contractor, and luckily we're fortunate enough here in the Philadelphia area to have different construction, demolition, recycling companies, and we were able to get some of that siding and other materials sent down to one of the construction, demolition, waste recyclers. So that ended up going somewhere. I don't know if it came back. I probably didn't come back to you guys directly, but that's the thing that would be really important, because the average person may not know that these things can happen. But if you do have to hire a general contractor, that's another good avenue of getting something done, where you can ask them. Even on the like many people in their lifetime might have to put a new roof on their home, or even renovating on the interior. If you're ripping out walls and whatnot, that gypsum wallboard might have a place to go when you're doing that kind of work. So definitely
Absolutely.
great information.
Yeah, absolutely. We hope to strengthen those paths, um, for it not to be as much of a question for the end user, for the customer, for the contractor, as where these materials could go. I think there's a lot of inertia right now. You see all these supply chain issues that we've seen throughout the pandemic. Um, Materials, I think, are really starting to be looked at in a different way than they probably were even just a few years ago, right? Um, we need to do a better job as a society of maintaining value. I mean, just as a human being, I think it should be really weird for us to think of somewhat valuable resources ending up in a mountain of garbage, right? I have a landfill that's not far from me, and it gets higher and higher every year, right? that's weird, right? As a species, we shouldn't be accepting that, right? So lots of things are changing. I think people's perceptions around it are changing. You're starting to see landfills fill up, and I'm not one of these people that thinks that they will disappear tomorrow. But what might happen is that it has to be shipped further, right? Which costs money.
Yes.
Transportation costs go up. You may see additional extended producer responsibility requirements that are out there at some point. We have customers actively asking for solutions these days. So there's a lot of inertia in this direction that tells us that it's the right time to do this. We've been working on this for years, but I think something about the pandemic and the challenges that we've had just around materials in our economy, our global economy, I think has people thinking about this a little bit different and looking at it as though a bit more as a resource.